This is Connect, Inform, and Engage. Our focus for tonight will be student accountability and promotion standards. We have our very own Superintendent of Nash County Public Schools, Dr. Steve Ellis, who will greet you.
So good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone tonight to our first Connect, Inform, and Engage session. Tonight we'll be discussing our Nash County Public Schools promotion standards. We have several educators tonight that will be addressing these issues and giving you valuable information. I hope tonight we can answer your questions. Thank you again for joining us.
I am Michelle Royster, the Nash County Public Schools Parent Coordinator. And I would like to begin our session today by reviewing with you our mission. The Nash County Public Schools mission Nash County is committed to high quality academic and social experiences for all of our students. We have 5 priorities that we are working on. Priority 1 is to increase grade level proficiency across all grades and subjects. Priority 2 is to focus on student academic growth so that we are exceeding growth for our schools. Priority 3 is to ensure equitable outcomes for all subgroups. Priority 4 is to build the capacity of our schools and departments. And priority 5 is to have efficient and effective operations. Our agenda for tonight has already begun. Dr. Ellis has provided you with our welcome, and I will provide you with our logistics. Following that, we will have a presentation from our Accountability and Promotions Department focusing on students' accountability and promotion standards. Following our presentation, we will have an opportunity for you, parents, and community members to be able to ask questions with our expert guests from our central office and our principals. Following that, we will announce our next session, and then we will close. On your screen, you should see the following buttons below. If you're on a computer, you'll see on the bottom of your screen a Q&A. If you click on that, a box will pop up, and this will allow you to ask questions so that we can present them to the panel that is before you. Our panel today consists of great experts from our elementary, middle, high school, and central office. Beginning to my far right, your far left, Mrs. Monique Hargrove Jones, Executive Director of Elementary Education. Mr. Chad Thompson, Executive Director of Career Technical Education and Workforce Development. Our very own Dr. Steve Ellis, Superintendent of Nash County Public Schools. Mrs. Christy Grant, Executive Director, Student Support Services and Exceptional Children. And Mr. Daniel Coven, our 2022-2023 Principal of the Year and Principal at Rocky Mount High School. Mr. Leon Dupree, Principal of Rocky Mount Middle School. Mrs. Allison Williams, Principal of Red Oak Elementary School. Mrs. Christian Tefford, Principal of Benvenue Elementary School. Mrs. Janet Morris, Director of Federal Programs. And Mr. Hannah Daza, ESL and Migrant Coordinator. Mrs. Melissa Dancy Smith, Assistant Superintendent of Academics and Accountability, will also be joining us virtually.
So good evening. Tonight we want to talk with you about high expectations for all. Tonight we will be discussing academic expectations and promotion standards here in Nash County Schools. We first want to talk with you about school board policy that's related around our promotion standards. So if you look at it, it is policy 3420, which sets the requirements for our promotion standards. On here, we do want to point out that students should progress to the next level of study only after they are proficient in their knowledge and application of the current curriculum level. Also, in order to meet the above guidance, the superintendent shall develop proposed promotion standards, which we're going to talk about tonight. The process must also provide multiple criteria for assessing a student's readiness to progress to the next level of study, which we will also talk with you tonight about. Our principals shall ensure that the promotion standards are used by teachers and school administrators in assessing each student's readiness for promotion. The superintendent's designee shall provide information regarding promotion standards to all students and parents, which we are informing tonight, and we will be informing you throughout the whole year. And to reduce the number of students who do not meet promotion standards, school administrators and teachers must address the needs of students who are not making adequate academic progress. So this is our board policy, and tonight we will share many ways that we meet this board policy in order to help our students in Nash County schools. So the next slide actually goes over our EOC and EOG courses. And you notice that it is broken up into elementary, mathematics, and science. And then you also will see there's middle and high school. In our elementary, you notice that we actually start end-of-grade testing in third grade. We go third through eighth grade to middle school. And then when you move to high school, you go to what's called EOCs, end of course testing. We have end of grade testing in ELA and English in 3 through 8, and then English 2 in high school. And then mathematics, we have end of grade testing 3 through 8, and then it goes to EOC, Math 1 and Math 3 in high school. And then for science, we have grades 5, 8, and biology in high school. So our next slide shows proficiency levels. Here we want to talk a little bit about how our EOCs and EOGs are ranked, or our students receive scores. So first you will see at the bottom there's a non-proficient, which means that the students did not meet proficiency on their EOG or EOC. And then there's a level 3, 4, and 5. 3s meet the grade level state standard, but do not meet the federal standard. Our level 4s and 5s meet both state and federal standards. If your student scores a 3, 4, or 5, they are proficient in their EOG or EOC. Our next slide shows our K-3 mandate. And our K-3 mandate is actually one that is, because they are not supported through an EOG, they are supported through our DIBELS measurements. And in that DIBELS measurements, our K through 3 teachers and our schools actually assess our students through this process. So we want to shift gears a little bit. I talked a little bit about proficiency and how we grade on end of course testing. So we want to shift gears to attendance. So these are our attendance requirements in Nash County Public Schools. K-5 need to be in attendance 85% of days in membership. 6 through 8, 90% of days in membership, and 9 through 13, 90% of days in membership. This next, we want to talk a little bit about grading. So K2, 3s or above in reading are proficient. Then we look at third grade, 60 or above in reading, math, and science, and social studies are grades we're looking at as being as passed. 4 through 8, which would cover the latter end of your elementary and middle school, 60 or above in reading, math, science, and social studies are passing. And then 9 through 13, 60 and above in core content subjects, which are our English, math, science, history, and social studies, are considered passing. So in Nash County, we do provide you with report card distribution dates and times that you will understand when your progress reports and your child's progress reports are due. We do this because we want you to be informed about the dates that your students will receive a progress report, also the dates they will receive their report cards, because we want you as parents to be fully informed of your child's grades, and we need you to be informed so that you can help us help your student to be successful. So I'm not going to read each date there. We will be give you these PowerPoint slides at the end, but you can see that we do have our traditional school report dates, our progress report dates on there. And then also we have a copy, an exemplar of a report card. And we have outlined that at the top, it actually gives you the grades. So you will see something like T1, T2, T3, and T4. Those are terms. Those are the times that we actually give grades throughout the year. And then you have an F1, which is a final grade. And we really want you to pay close attention to those report cards each time they come out so that you can keep up with the progress of your student. At the bottom of that report card are actually school messages, and your principal may add a message there. We may add a message from the district, which basically is something that's very, very important that we really want you to pay close attention to on that report card. So in Nash County, there are multiple ways that we measure proficiency. And so we look at, just as we talked about in our board policy, we look at attendance, grades, standardized assessments, as we talked about before with your EOG and EOC. We also look at local benchmarks that we do throughout the year and student artifacts with the work that they do in each class. Also, we look at if there's situations where personal, family, or unforeseen circumstances come about. We fully understand that, and we look at each individual case in that with that concern, because we fully understand that this can affect the student's progress in learning. So next, what I'm going to share with you is high school promotional standards. And so we want to talk about, in this particular case, high school solely, and then we will move on to elementary a little later. But we believe that attendance and academic achievement are key factors in the success of our high school students, and of course, ultimately leading to graduation. So this year with attendance guidelines, students are asked to not miss any more than 9 days. After those 9 days, there will be 5 additional days that are allowed for makeup. After those 5 days, there are no more 5 days of makeup. So the makeup is actually, each student will be required to do 90 minutes per class missed for their makeup. If they go over 14, which will be on the 15th day, then the student must submit a attendance waiver form to the attendance committee at the school. And when they do that, the attendance committee will make a decision based off of whether or not the waiver is approved, based off of facts, circumstances, and documentation. So once again, we understand extenuating circumstances, but there again, it is very important that we have attendance at the top of our list, because if students are not attending school, of course they can't learn, and we feel very strongly about attendance guidelines. I also want to talk about end of course. Remember in my previous slide when I talked about end of course testing. In high school, the end of course tests you have are English 2, biology, math 1, and math 3. So in those courses, if you have a student in those courses, we do have some guidelines there. If a student fails a course and they're not proficient in the EOC exam, then that student will repeat the course for credit. And once again, as we're talking about this, we will look at extenuating circumstances, but these are going to be the guidelines for our end of course testing. If the student fails the course and is proficient on the end of course exam, so that means they didn't do well on, they scored less than 60 on their course, but they passed that end of course exam, then they will be offered credit recovery at that point. This can happen in our evening academy, summer school, or during the school day. And then if the student passes the course and not proficient on the end of course exam, they will be required to retest on that. And students must retest, and we'll have a district letter pinpointing that at the end. On here as well, I do want to mention that we do have FF guidelines. FF means that your student passed the course, but they failed or they didn't meet the promotion standards because they did not attend school. They went over the attendance days. If we have that, the student will be able to make up that FF during the time, just as we talked about before with the attendance guidelines. But that student must complete that FF by the end of the next semester. And your principal will talk more to you about that. We wanted to highlight this tonight, but what I want you all to do, and I recommend you do, is talk with your schools, talk with your principals. They will walk you through these promotion guidelines. But once again, these are the things that are our expectations this year for attendance and our end of course testing and all of our courses. So the last thing I want to speak with you about today are some supports, because we've talked a lot about what assessments we complete here in Nash County. We've talked about our promotion guidelines, but we also want to talk about the supports we give our students. So you'll hear about many of these tonight. We provide school-based mental health for our students. We also provide social and emotional learning curriculum that's pre-K-12. So throughout our pre-K all the way through our 12th graders, we work on things where our students, if they're having some issues with some social and emotional issues, then we will 100% have curriculum that work through that with the students to help them in that case. Individual and group counseling. We have testing windows, which basically give students opportunities to have a variety of opportunities to take tests, to give them opportunities if something is extenuating circumstance. It gives them an opportunity to make up some of those testing sometimes. The one that we're going to see tonight is Parent Portal, and the one that we really push, and that if you're not involved and you're not signed up with, please sign up with Parent Portal. This gives you access to all of your students' grades, attendance, and all of the things happening in the school. So Ms. Hargrove Jones will talk with you a little bit later on that part. Digital children's literacy platform, we will talk about a little bit later today also. We have in-school interventions, after-school support. We have Evening Academy with our middle and high schools where students can go for extra support. Migrant education, tutoring, and for our homeless population. We have credit recovery, which allows our students to recover courses that they may have not done well in, that we talked about a little earlier. And then lastly, we have some very strong community partnerships and parent engagement. So what I would like to do now is turn it over to Christy Grant to talk to you a little bit about school-based mental health.
Many of our students struggle with mental health challenges that truly does impact their full access to and participation in the learning environment. And we are committed to addressing the needs of the whole child by offering a full continuum of supports of school-based mental health services. We have mental health agencies that come onto our campuses, and we are fortunate to hire now 3 district mental health clinicians that will be providing services as well. They provide both outpatient individual services, group therapy, and we also have some family therapy that's going on as well. Staff can refer students to the student services personnel, or parent and guardians can contact the school counselor to request services or discuss any concerns about your student. And as we move on to talk about social emotional learning, we do offer an integrated framework of social, emotional, and behavioral health supports for all students. SEL, as you may hear it called, does help students acquire and apply knowledge and skills and attitudes so they can manage their emotions, maintain supportive relationships, make responsible decisions, and achieve their personal goals. So for our pre-K through our eighth grade, eighth grades, we offer the Second Steps curriculum, which is considered a Tier 1 universal curriculum. So all students are involved in the Second Steps lessons. Within our high school, our Tier 1 SEL curriculum, we have daily SEL lesson plans or social emotional learning supports built within our lesson plans. And then we have a tiered approach at various schools throughout our district using School Connect, Check and Connect, and our BCOM curriculum. So now Ms. Hargrove Jones will discuss the Nash County Public Schools testing calendar.
An important part of supporting your child's academic process is knowing exactly what assessments they will take throughout the school year and when those assessments will be administered. So you do have access to the 22-23 testing calendar on our website. If you go to the link that is displayed on this slide and you click on calendars, and the menu tab, you can get the testing calendar so that you can stay abreast of what assessments are being given. Now we're going to talk some about the parent portal. The parent portal is the official record of your students' grades. It's a method, as Mr. Thompson mentioned, to stay up to date with their progress, attendance, and grades. You can contact your child's school to receive the parent portal web ID and password letter. They can give you that letter. You will need a photo ID to receive this letter from your child's school. Once you have that letter, you will need to go to the website that's displayed now, and you'll click on Create an Account. Once you get to the next page, and these slides will walk you through step by step, you click on Create an Account again. And you'll create your account by completing the form with the first and last name, email address, and you'll create a username and password. You will use the access ID and password on the letter that you got from your child's school at the on the bottom half of the form. You'll type in the student's legal name. You can add up to 7 children on one form and include your relationship to each child. So if you have multiple children, you don't have to do that more than one. You should receive a confirmation email once you've created your account. You will then be taken back to that login screen to use the username and password that you created to actually log into the parent portal. Once you have that account all set up, you can download the PowerSchool mobile app from either Apple Store or the Google Play Store to put on your phone, and you will have access to that portal right on your cell phone. And the district's code to do this for the app is displayed on the screen as well. I know I've walked you through this with the slides, but you also have access to videos that will demonstrate exactly how to create your account for the parent portal. It is very important that you do that. Another way that we're supporting students is supporting the youngest readers that we have. The North Carolina Department of Public Instruction's Office of Early Learning has developed and released their Literacy at Home, or the Digital Children's Reading Initiative. This digital resource provides literacy activities at each grade level, pre-K through 5th grade, and families and communities can access this resource and find activities that specifically target the literacy skills, the 5 core areas, foundational literacy skills. Once there is a link to this site on our website, it'll say Digital Children's Reading Initiative. Once you click on that, you have access to the flyer that tells you about that initiative, that you see on the screen. And also when you click learn more, it'll take you to DPI's site. And there is a screenshot of that as well. And you can see it's broken up by grade level. Once you click those, you can get those activities to do at home with your child. And you can also access printable versions of those resources. As Mr. Thompson mentioned, another way that we're supporting students is with in-school interventions and enrichment. Every school has a time that is dedicated to providing that targeted support to students who need additional practice to master a skill, and also to extend learning for students who've already mastered skills. The name of that is different depending on your child's actual school. You may have heard Win Time or the What I Need Time, Cougar Time, Nighttime, Bear Down, and even Evening Academy. But we are committed to providing that time to make sure that we are accelerating learning for all of our students in Nash County. Now, Mr. Colvin will talk about some after-school supports.
At the high school level, we are extremely fortunate to be able to offer the Evening Academy. Evening Academy is designed to help students who experience difficulty within the school day or semester. And typically, the difficulties that these students will experience will be attendance or academic credit issues. Evening Academy, we staff with 4 teachers in the core areas. That's math, English, science, and social studies. And the Evening Academy is designed to help students recover credit and to buy back time. Credit recovery is for those students who did not experience success within the regular semester. Instead of putting those students back into a full semester course, we give them the opportunity to spend time with us after school to work on those courses in a quicker time through a program called Ed Minimum. Attendance buyback, you heard Mr. Thompson talk about some students may miss their days in a particular semester and want to buy back time. And as he stated, students can buy back time at the rate of 90 minutes per class miss. Our Evening Academy at the high school level runs from 2:30 to 4:30, Monday through Thursday. And it's important to note that transportation is not provided. At this time, I will turn it over to Mr. Dupree to talk about the middle school option.
Also at the middle school, we provide an Evening Academy that's similar to the high school, where we focus on mostly our older age students that needs that additional instructional support. Also, our Evening Academy is focused around our core subject areas where we have staffing that's in the areas of ELA, math, science, and also social studies. The times of our Evening Academy starts at 3:45 and it ends at 5:45, and transportation is not provided. But dealing with this after school support, we provide for those older age students the opportunity to receive a full day of middle school instruction and also the after school support of receiving initial 1 credit of high school to transition into the high school. And at this time, I'm going to provide more additional after school support from Ms. Janet Morris.
So at Nash County Public Schools, we are committed to serving our homeless students and their families, and felt it was important to mention them specifically here tonight. If you are experiencing homelessness and find that your child is in need of additional academic supports, we are here to help. Please reach out to your child's principal and or your school social worker to learn more about the opportunities available to help your child be successful in school. As we continue thinking about after school, we wanted to make sure that you knew of some community after school programs. We understand the importance of extended day opportunities for our students. Therefore, we have started to put together a list of the after school opportunities, and we'll continue to add to that list. It will be available in this presentation, which will be on the NCPS webpage after this event. Now we'll hear from Mr. Daza for the Migrant Education Program.
The Migrant Education Department offers tutoring for students that qualify for the program. We offer these services to licensed tutors at school, and also we offer in-school tutoring. The focus of this educational tutoring is to provide additional support in the core subjects areas based on a comprehensive need of assessment. Transportations and snacks are provided by the Migrant Education Program.
At this time, we will be able to have questions answered by our distinguished panel. For just a reminder, if you look at the bottom, you have an opportunity to put in the chat any questions that you have for our panel tonight. We do have some questions that were sent in advance, and we will begin with those questions. Question number 1. Mrs. Hargrove Jones, what steps can I take as a parent to stay informed regarding my child's academic performance?
Okay, so there are several ways to stay informed about your child's academic performance. We spoke about the parent portal, which is one of the most important ways. Students in grades 3 through 12, you can see their grades, you can see attendance. That is also where you can view your child's report card, K-12. So you need to make sure that you're signed up for that. We also send progress reports home every 9 weeks along with report cards. That is a good way to stay on top of that. Schools also often use two-way communication apps. I know in elementary, preschool students have teaching strategies, family app. We have Class Dojo in elementary. Some secondary schools may use talking points or Remind. They also have Team Reach, and those apps work kind of back and forth like text messaging. You can get messages to your phone and updates to your phone. Most of the time you have to sign up for that through your child's school, and you will provide your email address. And email is also a great way to stay in contact with your child's teachers and to know about their academic process. In elementary and middle school, students have agendas, and those agendas go home daily back and forth. You can stay abreast of progress that way. Also, some elementary schools use take-home folders weekly to send work home that you can look at. And last but not least, parent conferences. Those are probably one of the most powerful ways to stay on top of your students' progress. Often teachers will send notices about parent conferences around benchmark assessments or around report card time. However, you don't have to wait until your child's teacher reaches out to you. You can call them, contact them for a parent conference. Conferences can be held face-to-face. They can be held virtually or over the telephone. The most important thing is to just stay connected and make sure that you have that ongoing two-way communication.
Thank you. Mrs. Tefford, if my child is sick and misses days out of school, how will this impact their attendance?
Unexcused unless it's accompanied by a parent or doctor's note indicating the reasons for the absence, such as illness or medical or dental appointments. The entire list of excused absences can be found in the Nash County Public Schools Parent Handbook or website under the School Board Policy 4400. Students who have excused absences are permitted to make up his or her work. It is important to understand students are responsible for finding out when the assignments are due and completing them in a specific time determined by the teacher. A student will be counted present if the student is in attendance 2/3 of the day. For example, elementary school instruction is from 8 o'clock in the morning till 3 p.m. 2/3 of that day would be 12:40 p.m. or 280 minutes. Grades 6 through 13 need to be in attendance for 2/3 of each class period. Based on our Nash County promotion standards, K-5 students need to be present 85% of the school year. This is roughly about 145 days of 171 instructional days for the 22-23 school year. Grades 6-12 or grades 6-13, need to be present at least 90. These attendance rates will be evaluated when making promotion and retention decisions for the next consecutive school year.
Thank you. Ms. Christy Grant, my child has test anxiety and does not perform well on state tests. Will I need a doctor's note for her to be exempt from this component?
Students could not be exempted from state tests unless there is a medical exemption. that is submitted to the State Department of Public Instruction, in which there would need to be medical documentation, and the State Department has to approve the medical exemption. However, there are measures that we can take at the school level in order to provide some supports and accommodations for during state testing, such as possibly having the test given over multiple days in shorter chunks of time, or in a reduced number setting where we have a smaller group. And so what my suggestion would be in the best course of action for that would be to talk with your child's teacher or the counselor at the school, share your information, share your concerns, and then they will schedule a meeting to discuss what accommodations are needed for your child, or if the anxiety is so severe that we do need to look at submitting a medical exemption to the State Department.
Thank you. Mr. Coven, my child is in high school. Can summer school be an option just in case they fail to pass a class and need one to be promoted?
Summer school is certainly an option for all students, but it is important to note that the way summer school is ran at the high school level, we do start with seniors first because they're priority. We're trying to get them to graduation, and we work our way out to freshman class. It's also important to note that summer school, the number of students that can attend summer school is not always the same, and that depends on staff. For example, this past year, we were able to have over 100 students in the building at one time. That doesn't mean we don't serve more than the number of students that are actually in the building. What we do, if students come in, they're all working at different levels. If a student finishes the course early, we exit that student out and we call the next student on the list. All students are. It is an option for all students, but please keep in mind we start with seniors first.
Just for clarification, there's no guarantee then that a student will be able to get summer school.
That's correct.
Thank you. Mrs. Williams, what should I focus on when I look at my child's report card?
Nash County Public Schools report card is essential to your child's success. We've mentioned several times this evening about Parent Portal. It's very important that you sign up for Parent Portal at your individual schools. This will ensure that your report card are emailed to the correct parent and that the email address is updated. That is very essential. You can contact your child's school individually if that email address is incorrect or if you're not getting the correct information. Remember, you can request a paper copy at your child's school as well. The first thing that you want to check with on your child's report card is their attendance. Ms. Tedford just talked about attendance expectations within the district, but just to mention that one more time, K-5 is 85% of the school year, 6 through 8 is 90, and 9th through 13th is also 90% membership. Next, if you're in a K-2 school or you have a student that's in kindergarten, 1st or 2nd grade, your report card you'll notice is standards-based. This means that teachers take the standard course of study and they assess those standards to make sure that students are reaching mastery each 9 weeks. You will see a 1, 2, or 3 on those report cards. A 3 means that a student has successfully completed that standard. A 2 means that the student is still progressing with the skill and needs a little bit more practice or is inconsistent in mastery. And a number 1 means that a student is demonstrating a lack of knowledge in that skill and intervention may need to be put in place. The district expectation, as Mr. Thompson stated earlier, for K2 is level 3s in reading and math. The 3rd through 12th grade report card is also essential for their child's success. This will reflect a number grade. This is a 10-point grading scale, and the district expectation for grades is 60 or above in reading, math, science, and social studies. As an administrator, I encourage you to contact your child's teacher if you feel the report card is not at a satisfactory level, and meet with the teachers to see what plan can be implemented to ensure growth for the next 9 weeks.
Thank you. Mrs. Grant, how does the promotion standards apply to my child who has an IEP and is identified as EC?
I think it's important to remember that high expectations for all includes all students within our district and our students with IEPs. And so the promotion standards still apply. The students still have to attend school. The students still have to have the grades and the report card grades, as Ms. Williams just stated. However, at the end of the school year, we also look at an additional step is taken with students with IEPs, and we look at the progress that the student has made on their IEP goals and take that into consideration as well when looking at promotion retention. For our students served on the extended content standards, the IEP team will meet if there is a concern about promotion or retention, and then the IEP team comes together, which you as a parent are a part of, and makes that decision collectively based on the data surrounding the needs of the child.
Thank you. Mr. Dawson, same question regarding ESL.
The district and state standards are used to evaluate the progress of all students. Throughout the school year, the standards are utilized to evaluate individual student progress, and if necessary, interventions are applied. Even English learner student has not met the district academic expectations, then the principal considers the data point along with other sources of evidence to make a decision on whether to retain or not a student. It is the purpose of the ESL department and the ESL teachers to provide appropriate interventions during the school years defined by the state and federal guidelines. At the end of the year, if a student in the ESL program did not meet the district and state standards, then it is the role of the ESL coordinator to provide information about federal guidance when determining whether or not to retain an English language student, which include newcomers of first year English learners. The final decision, however, lies with the principal, who under North Carolina general statute has the authority to promote or retain students. It is the desire that the principal consider all circumstances surrounding the ESL student school year when making this very important decision.
Thank you. Mrs. Williams and Mr. Dupree, is there a protocol regarding contact parents to follow through regarding concerns for their children?
Absolutely. As an administrator, I encourage parents that have a classroom concern to reach out to the teacher first to see if there can be a resolution to the problem. Administration is always available if you do not feel that the situation was resolved. Any social and emotional needs that may arise can always be addressed with the school counseling department. And each school has a transportation director that can help assist you with transportation concerns. At this time, I'll turn it over to Mr. Dupree with any additional information.
And also just like to add what Ms. Williams said, anytime you feel that the situation has not been handled, and also it has affected your child's academic performance or success, please contact the school's administration team in order to get it resolved.
Thank you. Mr. Colvin, how's a child identified with Evening Academy? And does it start in the middle of the semester or at the beginning?
Start at the beginning of the semester. Rock Mount High School planning to start this week. And there's essentially two identifiers that we look at. That number one, if the student has lost their credit, as I stated earlier, instead of putting the student back in the entire course, they can come to Evening Academy and recover that credit. The second identifier is if a student has missed too many days and they want to recover, as Mr. Thompson stated, they can recover up to 5 days if they went over on attendance. So we do bring students in for that. It's important to note that Evening Academy is not used for behavior issues, cover credits, and for attendance.
Mr. Colvin, according to our audience, they could not hear what you just said. So if you could please repeat and speak louder, please.
I'm sorry. Our two main identifiers for attending Evening Academy is one, if a student has lost a credit and they want to recover their credit, and the second is if the student has missed too many days on their attendance.
Thank you. At this time, parents, if you have any questions, please put it into the chat We're getting ready to wrap up and want to make sure that we have questions for you that answer all of your questions. Go to the top presentation, please. Parents, we would like to thank you for your participation, especially to our panel for tonight. As you heard tonight's information, if you have any questions, we do ask that you please reach out to your child's teacher, to your child's principal. In addition, you can reach out to Mrs. Nancy Smith, our Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum Instruction. Her information is on the screen. You can also reach out to me, Michelle Royster, and my information is on the screen. I can assist you with Parent Portal. I can assist you with setting up your account, and I can work as a triage person to help you out. I also have Janet Morris' contact information on the screen as well. She can help you regarding homeless students, any students that are doubling up who may need additional supports and services regarding several issues. Our next topic will be on October the 12th with a focus on student mental health. We hope that you continue to stay connected, informed, and engaged, and we hope tonight's presentation has made a difference for you. We strongly encourage all parents to check your phone numbers and your emails to make sure we have correct and updated information so that you can stay up to date. We also strongly encourage you to keep up with your school's website and to visit the Nash County Public Schools website as well. And of course, become connected through Parent Portal. Have a good evening. Goodbye.